Jai Hind students, welcome once again. And today we will study the concluding part of chapter number 1, the last lesson. So, uh, first, all, first of all, let me share the remaining part of the story on your screen, and then we will move forward. So now you can see that we in our previous class we have studied up to this paragraph, and now here that it is said that all at once the church clock struck 12, and then the Angelus and Angelus was also another church. While he was taking his last lesson, means M. Hamel wanted to teach everything to his students at the last day, and then that the time of the school was about to be over, and all at once church clock struck 12 means that he could hear the church clock striking 12 means it was the time to school to be over. And then the Angelus, there was another church nearby, it also struck 12 means that was the signal for class to be over for that day, and in that way the last lesson was also to be over. And at the same moment the trumpets of the Prussians returning from drill, and Prussians who were returning, Prussian soldiers who were returning from drill, they also played the trumpets, and it sounded under our windows. They heard the sound of the trumpets, means all these were the indications that the time for the school was to be over, and in this way the last lesson in French language was also over. And M. Hamel stood up very pale, means when M. Hamel stood up he was looking very pale, very sad at that time, and in his chair, and I never saw him look so tall. But the narrator who was observing everything there, and he could also see that M. Hamel, though he was very sad, but he was full of confidence. Looking so tall means he was full of confidence, and then he wanted to convey his last message, his parting message to the gathering, to the students, as well as the villagers who were present there in the classroom in the honor of the last lesson. And he said that, my friends, but something choked him and he could not go on, he could not speak. Means he wanted to convey his last message to the gathering, he wanted to give last message to the people of All Sikh that who were present along with the students, but when he started speaking, that he could speak only I, and after that his throat was choked because he was filled with so much emotion. He became so much sentimental at that time that he was unable to speak. He couldn't speak, means he couldn't convey his last message, his parting message. And then he turned to blackboard. When he was failed to convey his last message verbally, then he took a piece of chalk and turned towards the blackboard, and bearing on with all his might, with all his strength, that he wrote as large as he could, and then that his last message he conveyed through the blackboard. And when he turned towards the blackboard, he wrote as large as he could uh, write, and he wrote Vive la France in French language, in his mother tongue, which means that long live France. Vive la France means long live France. And remember, student, that shows his attachment towards his country, that shows his attachment towards his language. He had appreciated a lot. He had told about the glory of the French language. He also appealed to the people of Alsace, to the students and those old men of the village who were present there, to safeguard their mother tongue, their language. And he also told that because it is the key to their prison, because they had been slept, they had been their two districts, Alsace and Lorraine, had been captured by the Prussian, and now the Prussian wanted to impose their own language on the French speaking people. So it is very difficult to adopt any foreign language instead of their own mother tongue. And that's why that he appealed to all the people to safeguard their own mother tongue, and to keep on communicating in their mother tongue, that is French language. And so in this way that he had given his last message, and after that then he stopped and leaned his head against the wall, since it was the last lesson and he had to leave the place where he had been teaching for last 40 years. And all of a sudden he had to leave the place, he had to leave the people, he had to leave the school, he had to leave his students. So definitely he was very sad. That's why that he became emotional and he couldn't speak. And after writing Vive la France, then he stopped and leaned against bent his head against the wall, and without a word he made a gesture to us with his hand, and he indicated to all of them present there by saying by indication that school is dismissed and you may go. In this way that he couldn't give his last message, rather he had given his last message by writing Vive la France and by indicating them that school is dismissed, and means all of them can go to their homes. Now in this way that this chapter, the last lesson, is over, children, here. And now that because this chapter is very important for examinations point of view, and you will also have to take care of that some important questions which we have already discussed, but let us discuss that some other questions like this. The first one, that what changes did the order from Berlin cause in school that day? What changes? There were so many changes we had observed, and all this happened because of the order from the Berlin. And that order from Berlin actually that caused the great disturbance, great dismay in the school that day, and it upset all, that order upset all the students along with the villagers. And M. Hamel, the teacher, was greatly agitated there to know about the order from Berlin. And now onwards the school, all the schools of Alsace and Lorraine, these two districts, because these were the two districts which had been captured by them, and would teach only German instead of the French, their mother tongue, from the next day. So it was their last lesson in French language. and from the next day they would be taught in language of their new masters, that is German. And that's why the changes disorder means that, and it also aroused patriot patriotic feeling among all the students, teachers, the narrator French, and the old people of the village, means villagers. And now students see that this second question is even more important, question number 2, that you have to give the answer of these questions. Think as you read, means all these questions, there are 5 questions, and all these questions you have to write the answer in 30 to 40 words. As I have already told, you have the freedom of 10 words. 10 words, if you want to exceed it, then you can exceed up to 10 words, not more than that. So keep it up to 40 words around, means that's better. And how did French feelings about MML and school change? We have already discussed in our explanation that French feelings about MML, French, the narrator, his feelings about MML and school were totally changed now, after because when the order from Berlin, he heard about the order from Berlin, which aroused a patriotic feelings in him, and he suddenly developed a special fascination, a strange fascination, attraction for his language, for his mother tongue, means that is French language, and for his school, and for his books, education. And his books were his old friends now, means earlier he did not like to study, he did not like his book, but now those books had become his old friends now, and he suddenly grew respect for his teacher also. And he even forgot about all his about his all his strictness, all his ruler, and he also ignored that how cranky his teacher Mr. M. Hamel was, means these were the feelings, French feelings about M. Hamel and school, in this way that the feelings of French about his school and his teacher had been changed. So these are the points, at least 3 points you will have to highlight while you write the answers. Now apart from this, that let us see that some other questions, like understanding the text. Now students, answer of these questions you have to write in 120 to 150 words, because these questions can be asked as long answer type questions. And the school, the people, the first one, let us see the first one, that the people in this story suddenly realize how precious their language is to them. Suddenly realize. Why suddenly realize? When they came to know, when means M. Hamel declared that today that he was going to teach the last lesson in French language, and then they came to know that what happened, and what shows you this, and why does this happen, then you will have to that give the reference of the story why that happened. Like that, if you want to write that, you will have to make some ground from the story, as the order from Berlin imposes that German on the French speaking people of 2 districts, Alsace and Lorraine, and it makes all the differences, because the order, when they came to know about the order, means students, teacher, narrator, and even the village people, when they came to know about the order of Berlin, that order arouses patriotic feelings all of a sudden among the people, and suddenly they realize that how important their language is to them, how precious their language is to them. And then now they develop a new found love for their mother tongue, for the French language. And M. Hamel even goes on to declare that means he appreciated a lot his mother tongue, because he loved his mother tongue, his country and his mother tongue very much. And he even declares that the French is the most beautiful language in the world. It is the clearest and the most logical language. Now remember, students, you will have to, if you can quote this, if when you write the answer, that these lines which I told you in between that, if you are able to quote those lines, that will be better for you, that you can give the better your answer, you will be able to enrich your content. And then, so in this way, even the villagers at that time, the elders of the village were also present, and they also seem to endorse the M. Hamels, means the teacher's view regarding that. And they also show their respect for French language, for their mother tongue, and that was there's no more then. And all of them hate the foreign language German, because means it was being imposed. They did not like, they did not adopt it. And adopting foreign language instead of their own language is really very difficult. So they developed hatred against the German language. And in this way, when they came to know, means their patriotic feelings had been aroused, and which unite them for the cause of the French language, their mother tongue. And even that we could also see that even French grows sentimental. And he also feels sorry for neglecting his lessons in French language, neglecting his learning, neglecting the attending the school, and all that. And now that he develops fascination for French language, and the teacher as well. And that's why, including all these points, you can also give the answer of this question in 120 to 150 words. When because in your examination that word limit will be given 120 to 150, but you don't have to keep it up to 120 and all. Rather, utilize the maximum word limit, 150, 155 to 10 words. That even more you can write. There is no harm for getting full marks. If you are expecting to get full marks, definitely full marks will be awarded to you if you can write the answer in a proper way. Now let us see that next question. French thinks, will they make them sing in German, even the pigeons? So we had already discussed about this statement, and I have already told that this statement is very important. Even the pigeons, what could this mean? What could this mean? Will they means when he said, when French said about this statement, that what did he mean? Means it means that The French districts means after the war between Prussia and French and France, the French districts of Walsek and Lorraine fall into the Prussian hands, and then comes an order from Berlin, and that they will teach only German in the schools, all the schools of Walsek and Lorraine. And even that when M. Hamel announced it that this is going to be the last lesson in French, so everyone was shocked to listen this, because they came to know, they got this news all of a sudden, and they will no more be taught in their own language, which is the most beautiful language in the world. So when they came to know about all this, that from the next day, that instead of their own mother tongue French, you know, they will be taught in German, that aroused patriotic feelings among all of them. And even French shows his dislike for German language, and in that way, in this way, that French sees that at that time he realized that some pigeons were there on the roof and they were cooing, and then all of a sudden he got an idea, and he remarked sarcastically, it was a taunting remark against the Prussian rulers, and he made this sarcastic remark, that will they make them sing in German, even the pigeons who are going on the roof. Means the French remark is quite revealing here, because the powerful Prussians have occupied the French speaking districts of Alsace and Lorraine, and they can impose German language on the French speaking people, but they can't impose their own language on the pigeons who are going on the roof, he meant to say. And he means those Prussian rulers, they can enslave people of Alsace and Lorraine, but they can't have any authority over the feelings, or they can't compel pigeons going in German. Means that he meant to say that that people can have the right on the territory, they can rule over the territory of a country, over the land of a country, but they can't impose their own language against the will of the people. They can't rule over the head, over the heart and minds of the people. And that's why by this statement French showed his displeasure and his dislikes against the German imposition in French speaking population. So in this way, I mean to say that you have to write the answer in your own language. These are the points you can mention in your language. Another question you can also see, that when a people are enslaved, as long as they hold fast to their language, it is as if they had the key to their prison. This is also that another very important statement. And can you think of examples in the history? Because such kind of questions will not be asked, but definitely that this part of the question can be asked, this statement can be given, because this is an important statement, and then the question can be asked in this way, that justify the statement. When people are enslaved, as long as they hold fast to their language, it is as if they had the key to their prison. So definitely, since I have already discussed this question well, so you can give the answer of this question too. And apart from this, that as I told, that you can also uh, now let us discuss another question. If what happens to a linguistic minority in a state, and how do you think they can keep their language alive, for example this and this all. So is it possible to carry pride in one's language too far? Do you know what linguistic chauvinism? Linguistic chauvinism means that carrying pride in one's language too far, this, and then carrying pride in one's language too far, and that leads to linguistic chauvinism. And here the imposition of German language over the French speaking people, French speaking population, can't be justified at all, because it is the worst kind of example. And German, they were uh, because German, they wanted to impose their own language, that Prussians, they wanted to impose their own language, that is the German language, on French speaking people after uh, capturing these two districts of France, Alsace and Lorraine. And then M. Hammel's love for French has been aroused, and the patriotic feelings of all the people, means students, narrator, French, and that village elders, that had also been aroused. And when M. Hamel and it is quite natural for M. Hamel to express his love for the French. It is quite genuine, and he loves French, which he proves by giving the example that it is the most beautiful language in the world. He also calls it that it is the clearest and the most logical language. And then later on, he also regrets that the people of Holsake have not paid much attention to the learning of their great language. He also urges the people later on to safeguard it among themselves, because it is the key to their prison, means which can unite them and help them to get the freedom once again. And the people of Alsace, particularly the village elders, suddenly realize that how precious their language is to them. And French even also feels sorry for neglecting the learning of French, and he also hates the idea of German language being imposed on them in this way, that it shows that German, that who the Prussians who who were carrying pride in their language, and that's why they did not have any respect for the French speaking people, for French language, for other nations language. And that shows that they were carrying pride in one's language. They did not want to give the respect to other language. Means it depends upon you, that if it is this question, if it is being asked in 30 to 40 words, you can write in that way. If it is not one, it is asked as a long answer type question, then you can also, by giving these points, you can elaborate it up to 150 words. I think this much you can do in your writing. These are the important questions, And apart from that, I have also told that both the characters are important. M. Hamel's character sketch, very important, which have already been asked in board examination, and justification of the title is also very uh, important, students. So you will have to take care of all this while writing the answer. These are the important points, these are the important answers you must have to write in your copy. And I always keep on reminding you that what is important, that is important for you writing practice, because you are not at the school, you are not in the classroom. Otherwise I could have given you questions, and I could have also checked the answers, and you would have to write the answer in front of me in the classroom. So that part is missing here, and you will have to maintain it yourself. That's all for today. And now next day we will study the next chapter. So thank you for joining me, and have a good day.